I've often told you here on the channel that television is a cutthroat business. It's really all about, no show, but simply business. The reason being, particularly if you're working for a commercial channel, you truly need to keep the money, the money coming in. And the money comes from advertisers, and more importantly, the advertisers liking you, the presenter. And then if you're liked, hopefully, you bring people in to watch the shows. That's truly how commercialism works. Over on the BBC, they have it a bit easier because they have the license fee, and as we can see, they don't really care whether you, I, or anybody in fact likes their programming. You're stuck with them anyway. The bigger problem now, as one can imagine, for the British TV host Philip Schofield is this. He's been dumped by his channel, dumped by his agent, caught out lying to all of his family and friends, and really, it's a very difficult time. I'm not rejoicing in this at all. I think it's quite sad, in fact, simply because he did have the opportunity to clear the air, to come clean and set the record straight, but chose to lie once again. Now, as we see these particular stories engulfing Mr. Schofield, and apparently there's still more to come, it does appear that Philip wasn't necessarily too honest also in his autobiography. I'm sure the publishers who paid a lot of money for that must be now kicking themselves, because obviously it makes that reprint, the sales, null and void. The bigger story, of course, really all centres upon the fact that Philip himself lied about a relationship with a much younger person, a runner on the show. Now, I find this incredibly hard to believe that the main channel, ITV, the bosses, everybody did not know. In fact, I know people who worked on the show and they knew very openly. It was one of the most open secrets in the world of show business. Let's not forget, of course, Dame Joan Collins famously outed Mr. Schofield live on air on Good Morning Britain, and then was very quickly removed off that seat before the ad break, never to return. But according to a very good source, one of the problems that Philip had, particularly with his much younger paramour, was simply this. As we now know, he went on a tour, a round of interviews of anybody who would listen, talking about the joys of coming out after 20 plus years of marriage to his wife Stephanie, and no, there was nobody else involved. Clearly not true. According to a very good source, and as ever we have to say allegedly, Mr. Schofield had promised, in fact, the much younger paramour, well, not just dating, but the chance of marriage in the future. So serious was this relationship. Now, of course, we can only speculate, and again, I have to say allegedly, because this is all coming from one particular individual. And more importantly, if you think about it, you can understand exactly where Mr. Schofield's head was at that particular moment. But moving forward for him, if this particular individual is then interviewed or, revealed in the media, this could open once again a whole catalyst of negative PR. Quite where he comes back from this particular story remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, Philip definitely had, according to this individual, marriage on his mind, and it certainly wasn't with his ex-wife, Stephanie. Now, somewhere along the line, the truth will come out. But what a sad end to what many people believe was a stellar, brilliant career. Over 20 years at ITV and another 20 at the BBC, enjoying phenomenal success. Not a great way to bow out, really, is it? Neil Sean in the very heart of London.